Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Picks and Sticks podcast, a fun music podcast where four great friends talk about the music, bands, and songs that they love. I'm Mauro.
I'm Gordo.
I'm Cecil.
And I'm Huff.
And this is Picks and Sticks. On today's episode of the podcast, we bring you 10 great songs from the band The Police.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Picks and Sticks. Now, I'm going to throw you guys for a loop here. Before we get started, I want to recognize a birthday here amongst us. Yeah. I know it's not a milestone per se, so maybe we don't need to, celebrate too heartily, if you will. But Gordo, you had a birthday a few days ago. I understand you went out for dinner. The burning question, of course, is: did you go with the 3-piece chicken dinner for yourself? Or did you get all romantic and share a bucket with Shar? How'd that all go down?
Did a half bucket and I got to wear a crown. It's just how I do it for another sad middle-aged birthday.
Went to Burger King too, hey? Nice.
Yeah, when you hear the crown, you automatically know. You don't even have to adjust. You're like, oh yeah, he went double Whopper for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, I did had a nice little dinner and, during the pandemic, which was... lowly attended. I didn't even have all my family there. It's quite sad.
Nobody wanted to go. They're like, nah, dude, I'm going to stay home on this.
But I don't think that had anything to do with the pandemic.
I think it might have been an excuse, actually. You could be onto something here.
Yeah.
It's like
people
weddings.
have been waiting for this.
Everyone's skipping weddings and it has nothing to do with the pandemic. Nobody wants to go to them.
Completely. Yeah, it was a nice night out, though. Now it's done, and who's next on the birthday agenda here?
That would be me.
I think it's Cecil. Yeah, it's definitely Cecil. But I did see you. I saw a picture there, Gordo. You got a pretty sweet gift. Why don't you tell the listeners about it? Because it's kind of timely.
Oh, my gift, yes. My wife stepped it up and got me the Bad Motorfinger LP. Very lovely gift.
The vinyl. Hey,
the vinyl, man.
I was going to ask, do you have like a player? How do you play your vinyl? Or is that just something you throw in the collection somewhere and it just keeps the plastic on it?
I do have a player. It's not very expensive. It's not an audiophile would be appalled at my ghetto setup, but I enjoy it. I just started collecting, I guess, last year, and I had a bunch from when I was a kid that I found at my folks' house. So adding to the collection now, and it makes it strange though in terms of where do you cut it off in terms of what's acceptable to buy for vinyl and what's not? Did it have to originally come vinyl? I don't know. I have a lot of questions about this process. But
so you're talking like if there's a new release, like when the new Foo Fighters comes out, are you allowed to buy that, or do you have to keep it old school and only buy like Zeppelin and AC/DC?
Exactly. Some guys are very particular about this.
Well, I don't know. I think you can make your own rules, can't you?
Well, all I know is I have Bad Motorfinger on vinyl, and they can suck it. So there you go.
So you finally got Soundgarden's first album.
She was trying to find the FOP LP because she knew how much of a fan you were, right?
Oh, fuck off.
Let's play that one again. Play FOP.
Fucking guys.
Wow. All right, well, let's...
we might have to clear that up where we're bugging Gord about some of our differences on the pre-Bad Motorfinger Soundgarden. Some of us seem to think it doesn't exist. The others are big fans. And that's
I'm in the doesn't exist.
There you go. Anyways, we'll move on from Soundgarden.
Yeah. We'll move on. We'll move on to that. Now, there's a couple of changes coming up to the podcast, so we should let the listeners know about that. So first, we've got an email address, so you can now email the show. So it's picksandstickspodcast@gmail.com. So it's picksandstickspodcast@gmail.com. You can't use that little amber sign or whatever the hell it's called. So we definitely want to hear from you. And then in future podcasts, we're going to read some of your emails. So you can send us your top 10 lists or, point out some of the great songs that maybe we overlooked. You can ask a question, send in suggestions for an upcoming episode. We're always looking for some new bands and stuff like that. So whatever you like. So please send those in. Again, picksandstickspodcast@gmail.com. The other thing I want to point out as well is we've created playlists just for you, our favorite listeners. So for every episode, you go to Apple Music, Google Play Music, or Spotify. So just search up the band name and the words Picks and Sticks. You'll get our overall top 20 songs plus the deep cuts. It usually ends up being somewhere around 26 songs, something like that. So pretty cool. So for this episode, for example, you'd search for Police Picks and Sticks, and you'll see the songs that we're just about to talk about. So
wow, that's quite a bonus we're just doing there. We're just doing that for everyone.
All free of charge. That's included in the price. That's included in the price. Huh. That's the kind of guys we are.
Good stuff.
So there you go. So I kind of let it in. So we're talking about all things police. So let's actually, this funny thing. Now, when you prepare for these episodes, right, we always do several listens of the band's catalog, and I know this is going to sound made up to the people that are listening, but I swear to God, this is the truth. So 2 of the 4 of us actually got pulled over by the cops while listening to the police in preparation. So let's start with you, Cecil. What the hell happened?
It's hard to believe, but this is not my... I did have a day job, so I did get laid off over the pandemic, and I had some holiday time spending with the kids, and I had geared up. I had pretty much a date on the calendar, the Monday where my job hunting starts. So being in construction, Sunday night, I had it starts Sunday afternoon. I had the fatal Sunday afternoon nap. So come Sunday evening, I think, the night before, I'm going to start, I got some ideas what I'm doing for work, but all construction related. I thought I'd just drive across the street where my company used to build and kind of get the feel before tomorrow. And, kids and the 2 boys and Darren are in bed. And I'm like, just go for like 10, 15 minutes. I won't bother waking them up. So it's like midnight, Sunday night. I'm like, yeah, good time for do some listening. Got the windows open, head down the road, and like 5 minutes in, there's RCMP behind me, and no big deal. Then I started thinking, okay, what's my registration? Because I think it's good. No. And I'm like, okay, my insurance comes out of my bank account and all that. Well, then, sure enough, lights go on. I'm like, I bet you I haven't done my registration or something. Sure enough, yeah, it just expired. The guy that pulled me over, though, was like, he is one of the nicest guys I've ever met. It was almost uncomfortably nice, and he kept apologizing, like whole Canadian. Oh man, sorry about this ticket, eh?
He should have, well, then fucking tear it up.
Yeah, and at the end he's like, so are you having a bad night? I'm like, no man, it's like, if this is on brand for me, trust me, this is not a big deal, right? And it wasn't until I was driving away, I was thinking, like, that guy was like almost over nice, and then it hit me. I'm like, you know what? I wonder if because they're getting like some places some bad press that he's trying to be. I mean, he's a sincerely nice guy, but then I you know what? Didn't even cross my mind. I think we're lucky we have police around here treat you so good. It didn't like all that. Not even cross my that annoying stuff you see on the news. Didn't even think about it till I drove away. Anyways, that's the story.
So what was the ticket worth?
It was like $350.
Oof, heavy.
Well, then he told me, oh, your insurance is expired too. You better go get that tomorrow. I didn't give you a $3,000 ticket. Oh. And I'm like, okay. Thanks, so Tom. So I opened up my insurance, and it expires in 2021. So he's a good guy and made an honest mistake. He maybe read it backwards, but so yeah, drove straight home. And so that was the dumbest 15-minute drive I've ever done.
So you're victim number 1.
Yeah.
Mauro, you got clipped too. What happened to you?
I was fixing my windshield, and I actually had my daughters with me, and I went over to Best Buy, managed not to spend any money, and then driving home, police cranked, girls in the back, and get caught in a speed trap. I think I was doing 122K and an 80.
Jesus, that's a heavy foot.
Yeah, that's a good clip, buddy.
Yeah, it's about $250. But anyway, I don't remember what song I had on, and then So I'm sitting there and the girls are like, hey, this is hilarious. And I was like, isn't it ironic I'm listening to the fucking police while I'm getting pulled over by the police? Anyway.
Did you say fucking police to the girls?
No. I might have. I probably did, actually. And he comes back and he reduced the ticket in half. $120.
Because you like the police?
I didn't ask him.
Or was it the handy he gave him?
You're like, hey, listen to who I'm listening to, buddy. Huh? Big fan.
Anyway, that's what happened. I still haven't paid it. I was thinking about fighting it, but that could be bad karma. So maybe I'll just pay the thing.
Yeah, the half price ticket.
Do it. They'll give you half price just to get rid of you.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, it's a tough start here, boys. Really, we're in for about $600. We haven't even got to the top 10 list. We haven't got really anywhere. So yeah, maybe we should have said, if you want to email transfer us some money to pay for these tickets, again, that's picksandstickspodcast@gmail.com.
We have to set up our donation page.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, to pay for all our bad habits. So, I mean, Gord and I, we're on the up and up. We're upstanding citizens here. We're obeying the law.
Obviously.
Right? We're not a menace. So let's get into the familiarity of the band, The Police. Obviously, Cecil and Mauro have got some familiarity with the boys in blue, but the band itself, I think overall, if I can make kind of a blanket statement, I think generally speaking, and maybe actually before I go to Gord, I'm going to go back to Mauro and Cecil. I would say, is it fair to say that the familiarity level on a scale of 1 to 10 is probably in the 2 to 3 range, before you started this process? Is that accurate?
92.1 FM range, right?
Whatever's
on the radio. Yeah, I have Synchronicity as a kid, but not too familiar.
Okay, Mauro, same thing.
I didn't have. I actually own the box set, the one of the ones they released, but I only listened to it for a little while after I bought it, and I never really got into it. And so, yeah, you know what? I'm not a Police listener for a lot of years, but that's changed in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah,
nice.
And I think Gord is probably the lead man on this. Myself, again, I've heard the hits, just like you said, Cease. I didn't realize really how many songs I did recognize, but I actually remembered that I did own at one time the Synchronicity album because I liked the song King of Pain at the time. So this was, man, I'm really going to date myself here. This is a Columbia House, one of the, when you sign up for Columbia House, remember that back in the day?
The dreaded Columbia House.
Yeah. So it was whatever. It was like you had to pick 12 CDs for a penny. And then if you bought another one at, for half the regular price, and you got another free one. So you end up getting like 14 CDs for like $5 or something like that. So anyway, Synchronicity was one of those. And I listened to it for about maybe a year and then never listened to it again after that. I think I was all pissed off at Columbia House because that was the one where they had that you had to send back the card every month or whatever, or else they would just automatically send you the CD. And I was ending up with, I was getting like the Spin Doctors and shit like that because I kept forgetting to send the card back. So in any event, that's we're going down a rabbit hole there. So anyway,
I can't. It was like it would take me hours to fill those cards out because their music catalog was so fucking horrible that you'd get to like 4 CDs and then you'd be like, oh. So you'd try some stuff, and I don't know. I have about 600 CDs in the basement, probably 200 from Columbia House, and 5 of them I listen to. Yeah,
and that's how I ended up with Synchronicity. But then again, the reason why I think they went out of business, no one ever paid their bills. And shout out to my buddy Mike Bradley. I think he signed up for Columbia House like probably half a dozen times, and I don't think he paid them once. So he's got 600 CDs and 549 of them are free from Columbia House.
awesome.
Hopefully that's not his real name, so he doesn't get busted.
Yeah, no, that's his alias. Trust me, he's been changing his name since before high school. So Gordo, tell me, you're the resident expert. That's
Sure.
This is good. This is as good as it gets. Tell me something.
Well, let me ask you guys a question. You were young lads once, and I'm assuming you had young lasses as friends. What were you impressing them with? Were you playing Megadeth? Like, come on, guys. Did it take you this long to figure out? Ladies love the Police. Your choices back then were playing either the Police or Duran Duran. And Duran Duran is shit.
Dude.
I know, how dare I?
Slow down. You're forgetting about hair metal. Do you have any idea how much Poison and Cinderella? You know how much that works?
You were going after the wrong ladies with that. All right? You were fishing with the wrong worm, my friend.
All right, so you're telling me that what, every breath you take is the answer? That the song about stalking? That's
a
that's your
gateway
go-to?
drug. It was
that's
a
your
gateway
go-to?
drug.
Yeah.
Actually,
okay.
I may exaggerate a bit, but I did like the Police. I only owned Synchronicity as well, but the reason for that is I had a buddy make me like a mixtape, like we were dating or something. So I had all their hits.
Was it actually a tape for real?
Yeah, it was a cassette. Yeah.
Nice.
So I had all their hits. So it was really interesting to me when we did this exercise of re-listening. I actually had forgotten what album a lot of these songs were on because I never knew. I just got them all at once thrown at me, like 30 songs, and I wore that tape out in no time. But I did like them when I was younger. They weren't my favorite band, but they were up there as far as like the lighter side of things I would listen to. They were right there. I liked the reggae they brought to this. I didn't like a lot of their love songs per se back then, but as a young drummer, I really liked Stuart Copeland. I thought he was really interesting to listen to. He was one of the few metal drummers or hard rock guys that I was like, wow, this guy's really good. And so that's probably mostly why I got into the Police, to be quite honest. But I was listening to when I was young for sure.
So you were familiar with more than Synchronicity then. So you had heard some of the other albums. You've heard some of the other songs. I mean, again, we heard the stuff on the radio, but I didn't even know the names of the albums until we started this. I knew Synchronicity, and that was it.
That's it, yeah.
You couldn't...
I did. Yeah. I like their early stuff especially. Now, you got to keep in mind, they came out, their first album came out in 78, and they kind of hit it every year after that. They were really quite prolific. And they came out of London at a time when, the Sex Pistols and the Clash and that big punk scene was happening. And so these guys showed up, and they were kind of playing punk, but they were looked down upon a little bit from the other punk bands as not having enough street cred because they weren't punk enough, and they weren't. They had some punk in them, but they also had a lot of pop, and then that reggae touch, which they've always had. Sting's always played love songs, and he's being the predominant songwriter. I mean, that guy was writing love songs, probably when he was like 8 years old, for all I know. But
yeah,
it was interesting that out of that punk scene came these guys. He's like me. Well, funny enough, do you know what Sting's first name is?
Gordon Sumner.
It is Gordon Sumner. You win a prize.
Learn that in B movie.
Nice.
You see that? Huh?
Oh yeah, right. Yeah,
I think you're right.
That was a guy to have in B movie. Hey, Sting. They all wear his shirt in that movie.
But yeah, as I mentioned, I found these guys really interesting. They had that punk edge, but they also had way more pop and the reggae element to them that made them very much different. And out of all those bands, this one became by far the biggest and most successful. So that it was fun for me going back down this road. I don't listen to them a lot lately, so it was fun for me to hear like Walking on the Moon and stuff like that I used to quite enjoy.
Cease, you got something to add there?
Oh, big music fan, but I don't know a lot about music history sometimes. Like I was trying to find, does anyone know the connection between reggae and punk music? Like in Britain, there was, they're so close, like ska, right? Ska is like punk reggae. Like what, how did those two come together? I don't understand.
I think it's because they had, in London especially, they had a really large Caribbean population moving, a lot of immigrants. And so I think some of the band members either had friends or acquaintances or whatnot, and there was a lot of bands that played, especially ska, I think was the music. And then reggae came a little later. Bob Marley did a famous concert in London in the late 70s that I think was attended by a lot of rock guys, and it changed a lot of these guys' lives. So I think ska was the predominant music, but it was largely the big immigrant base, I think, in London that probably gave him a little bit of this background.
I'll tell you, what I realized is that I knew very little about this band. Like the Police is obviously a well-known band. I believe they're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. In my mind, again, not being familiar with the band, I thought they were together as a band a lot longer. I thought they had way more material, but like you said, Gord, they've got 5 albums, and they essentially put those all out in about 6 years, and then that was the end of them. So that was a complete eye opener to me. The other thing is, and I should probably I need to apologize publicly here to my buddy Will, because he's a Police guy. Lived in the UK and is from there, across the pond, as if you can say that with a straight face. Him and I got into a bit of a disagreement on my deck. We're having a couple of drinks. I said, we're going to get into the Police. And he starts talking about, they're a reggae band and this and that. And I'm completely talking out of my ass because I'd only heard Synchronicity. And I'm thinking, I know Every Breath You Take and King of Pain. And come on, they're not a reggae band. So him and I got into it. So anyway, as I started listening to all this old stuff, I realized that maybe I should have just shut my mouth, because there's a guy that knows the band and I don't. I knew nothing about this band. And what I will say is I have a really great appreciation for them, and my daughter asked me, are you going to put them on a playlist, or are you going to continue to listen to them? And the answer to that is actually yes. And I would have thought, when we started this, I would have said, "There, no way am I going to listen to this."
Nice. There we go.
Yeah.
One other thing before we get into the top 10, if I can, is I'd forgotten that the guitar player, Andy Summers, he's 10 years older than the other two. And the reason I bring that up is he played in a lot of like what we would probably consider like cheesy mid-60s bands. And he played in a lot of like B-level versions. And he actually moved to LA for a time. There was talk when, I believe it was Brian Jones left the Stones, he was going to get an audition. I don't know if he actually auditioned, but he was on the list to try out. Clearly didn't make it. Moved back to London and hooked up with these guys. So when that happened, the drummer and Sting, they were really pro-punk and wanted to do that, but he hated punk. He despised it. He was like, I think he was about, he was 35 or so when he joined the Police. So he didn't want any part of that. So it was kind of interesting how these three came together with the age difference. But they weren't all on the same page from the beginning, and they certainly weren't all on the same page when they were done.
Yeah,
listen to Gordopedia there.
Yeah,
no shit.
I heard that Andy Sting took a much bigger interest in the band when Summers joined, because he could be more creative, more.
That's right. He's a great guitar player, right? So.
Yeah.
Which is weird, because call me crazy, but in all the songs, I don't hear hardly any acoustic guitar.
No, and not a lot of solos either. There's
not a lot of solos,
but not as many as usual. Yeah.
I texted you guys when I was going through this, and I was like, "Where's all the fucking solos?"
Well, I understand the solos because the way that he plays guitar is quite phenomenal in
really
the way that he moves around the neck and plays different chords. It's almost like some of the verses and choruses have solos built into the rhythm. So it's really cool.
Good point.
I never appreciated that before.
What do they call more arpeggios, right? How do you pronounce that?
Arpeggio. Are you trying to say arpeggio?
Yeah, instead of solos, a lot of arpeggios, like Message in a Bottle, the rolling, I don't know how you explain it. Rolling scales, like instead of just a 2-3 note riff, right? Do 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 do. I do this every podcast. I hum the song. You gotta stop that. So I'm not gonna hum any songs today. I did. Don't hum songs.
Now you're humming solos, dude, and it looked impressive. For those of you who can't see it, it looked awesome.
Yeah, yeah. We need to release some video too, some bonus footage.
All right, Huff. Well, what do you say? Should we get into this? I think this is a good representation of their hits, boys. There's not a lot of like crazy outliers here that I see.
Yeah, it's all killer, no filler, right? So the top 10. So let's do the quick. How do we get the top 10? So there's 4 of us. We each complete a top 20. We run that through the patented Picks and Sticks algorithm, and then it spits out. It ranks all the songs. So we talk about.
I think Gord just downloads the Spotify list.
Yeah, and just submits it. That might explain his top song, but in any event, so that gives us. So we like to talk about the top 10, and then we'll kind of dabble in some of the other lists as well. But that's there's a ranking system. I'll throw out a couple of observations, if you will, what I thought was interesting. And every episode I find that there's something different, right? Guns N' Roses, you run into 9 of the top 10 are from the same album. And there's all these things that kind of stick out. What was interesting, we had, out of the 10, we had, 4 were from one album. We had 3 from another, 2 from another, and 1 from another. There was a really good mix, I guess. It wasn't dominated by one particular album. Although I will say that Ghost in the Machine is not well represented in the top 20 overall. So that's obviously their weakest album. But I thought that was interesting. The other interesting thing to me was, out of the 9 of the top 10, all 4 of us picked, which is very rare. Right, even with Metallica, we'd be talking about a song that might be ranked at number 3, and only 3 of the 4 of us had that. Whereas in this particular case, all of the top 9 songs, all 4 of us had them somewhere in our top 20. It was only the number 10 song, which is where I'm going to start. The number 10 song, which is "It's All Right for You" from Regatta de Blanc. Gordo was the only one that didn't have that song on his top 20, but myself and Cecil and Mauro all had that ranked.
That's a song I never heard before too, so that was a nice surprise.
I hadn't heard that song either.
Yeah.
That's a rockin' tune.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, it's a faster
It's all
paced.
right for you.
It's a faster paced song, and that might have been one of the biggest surprises for me, was just the punk element to this band, and some of the grooves and things like that. And I learned that the rough translation, the name of the album is Regatta de Blanc, which roughly translates to white reggae. So take that for what that's worth. But I thought that was kind of interesting. But that's a solid number 10 song. I don't know, Gord, is there a reason why I didn't make your list, or is it just kind of one of those things you're too busy trying to fit all the other stuff in there?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of that. It could have easily been in my teens. It was probably a bit of an oversight. I think a great song, just wasn't one of my faves.
Yeah. So number 9 on the overall list is a song that everybody on this planet, I believe, has heard. It's from Synchronicity, "Every Breath You Take." I don't need to mention all 4 of us had it on the list, because here on in we all picked it in some way, shape, or form. Con, I know that you had a couple of thoughts on that. So "Every Breath You Take" is all yours.
Well, Gord, you had that number 1, right?
I did not. No.
Oh, sorry. Everything she does is magic, right?
We'll get to that.
We will get to that.
Under the egregious omissions.
That's fucking embarrassing.
What's that? Yeah. Anyway, so "Every Breath You Take." I just one note. I said it. BMI, which is what, Broadcast Music Inc., whoever they are. They said that song took over "You Lost That Loving Feeling" for the most played radio song ever. And that was in 2019. And
really?
Yeah. And
quite a stat. Look at you guys coming with the heavy info. This is great.
Dude, we're doing it for the people.
It's almost like we did some prep.
Yeah, well, and
it's called fucking Wikipedia.
Well, this is your single
still prep.
These are your single source notes, boys. But I mean, we're talking about that. It's probably the top wedding song about stalking, or right? Maybe the only wedding song about stalking.
Yeah,
obsession with stalking.
And even Sting, I read even Sting himself admits it's terribly misunderstood. He says himself that he would have thought, I mean, it's still about a relationship, but it's more of like Big Brother's surveillance, like "Every Breath You Take," breathalyzers.
I'll be watching you.
"Every Step You Take," ankle monitors, and then the that's the. Oh, I got that mixed up again. Here we go. We got super unknown Soundgarden again.
Hey, can we change our podcast name to Moranis de Blanc?
Every breath you take, right? Every breath you take, control is your breathalyzers. Every move you make is your ankle monitor. And what's the next one? Breath you take, every move you make.
I'll be watching.
Every sound you break.
I didn't come prepared with lyrics.
Voice stress
and it's
analysis.
a song I should know like the back of my hand, and I'm sure if I sang it, I would be able to do it. But I sure as hell ain't singing on this podcast. I've already made an ass of myself multiple times.
So I botched that, but yeah. Anyways, sorry.
It's a cheesy song, and
it's a song about
you realize what it's about, and then it's creepy.
Yeah, and it's funny that it was misunderstood, like you said. Like how many weddings were you at, like back in the day, where people were playing that song and they're out there dancing, because they just, they hear every breath they think it's just about just this internal love. Like I just can't live without. It's no, dude. It's these people are stalking people. Like
it even has the line in there, and every vow you break, like they're playing it at weddings, which I find that part particularly funny.
That's hilarious.
Yeah,
I should have played
restraining
it at my
order
first
is
wedding.
what it is.
Yeah, dude.
The whole thing results in a restraining order, not wedding vows, but in any event. So
just a real quick second, I won't screw this up. Know what I saw about the making of the song was, of course, Sting wrote it and had most of it, but there's no guitar yet. And when Summers wanted to put guitar, and he asked Sting what he'd like, he just said, "Just make a lick your own, man." So I like that, reading that about Sting, not a micromanager on his music, understanding and probably created the song better, letting the guy do it himself, right?
Yeah, it's a great song, and surprisingly not one that I'm horribly tired of, because it is one, like you said, that you hear it on the rock stations and the classic rock stations and all that stuff. So number 8, Walking on the Moon from Regatta de Blanc. Gordo, I know that you've got some real feelings about this.
I always really enjoyed this song. I don't know why. It's just kind of a goofy song. I like that. I really like the guitar in it. It's not completely original. It's so off time, the reggae. I just find fascinating that all the guitars played on the offbeat, and I especially like it on this one. But as I was doing a little research, I didn't realize that Sting, he wrote this when he was drunk. And it was originally going to be called Walking Round the Room. But he realized that was stupid, so he doubled down with Walking on the Moon.
I read that story too. I read that story too. He got home after a bender. He's in his hotel room or something like that, and he started humming this song. And he when you've had a few and you start talking to yourself, you start singing and stuff. So he creates this song, and there you go. It was a huge hit.
Now, I would argue that Walking Around the Room, I think that would have been a great title. He should have kept it. Walking on the Moon. If you've seen the video, it is just appalling. Like,
I haven't.
Dude's drumming on a rocket, and there's like NASA stuff. It's not a good one, people. Just be careful if you watch it.
It's not my favorite song. I know me and Mauro had that at really low on our individual list, and you guys had it relatively high. So
yeah, that's Carl's number 1 that he had.
That is my favorite song. I love stupid songs.
Mind you, I did listen to it, and I do appreciate it. It's a pretty good song.
Yeah, it's good. It's it's good. It's not, in my opinion, as good as the one that we have in front of that in number 7, King of Pain off Synchronicity. Mauro, you had mentioned that you had a couple of thoughts on that you wanted to get out.
Well, I've heard the song, like many people, but I never knew what the lyrics were, and I never really actually listened to it that carefully. And when I started to listen to it, the piano playing at the beginning is phenomenal, and it's got this sort of melancholy feel to it. And then when the bass comes in, this just shows Sting's musical genius in terms of how he puts songs together. It's phenomenal. When you listen to it with the lyrics, it's just, so that's what drew me in. And then I realized, what the song's about. It was after his first divorce or his divorce. And it really actually is just a collection of metaphors for how shitty he felt and how lonely he was.
Yeah.
And if you read the lyrics, like it's not the most uplifting song, but it's a great song. And
But
and
little
the lyrics
black
are,
spot on the sun, that's a good visual for being bummed.
Yeah.
and he was envisioning that being his soul. Like imagine how it's kind of apocalyptic if there's a black spot on the sun. That would be pretty bad. But yeah, it's a great song. It's well put together. It's got great lyrics in it, and it really made me. What drew me into it was the musical genius in that first 30 seconds. That was just, I was like, holy shit. These guys are real songwriters, and I never appreciated Sting as a songwriter till I in the last month have been really listening to the Police a lot, and just phenomenal.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because I felt exactly the same way. I love the way the song starts. It's just, again, I would just echo exactly what you said. It's such a well written song, and I love it. I had it third. The podium finish, I was the only one that had it in the top 3 on the personal list, but that's I had that even in the number 1 spot at one point. Had to juggle a few things. You know how it goes, right? The more you listen to stuff, the more you change it. But that's one of my favorite songs, and that's one that I'll definitely keep in the rotation.
See, I know I'm growing as a person because 3 weeks ago I had Battery by Metallica cranked, and I was dancing around like a wingnut. And then last week I was reflecting on King of
Showing
Pain.
your
Real
softer
growth.
side.
Real growth, buddy.
King of Pain
way to
with
go.
a tear in my eye.
Wow.
This podcast
tear
is
in my
very
eye.
therapeutic. Maybe we need to put it into a different category.
Sting reached you on a
We
very
should
real
put
level.
it in lifestyle.
Maybe we can charge by the hour. Maybe that's how we get our money back with all the speeding tickets and lack of registration. And buckets of chicken.
And buckets of chicken.
Can we get a KFC sponsorship or something? God, I love that stuff. Anyway, I digress. Moving through into number 6, Don't Stand So Close to Me. Again, I mean, at the risk of sounding repetitive, I love this riff. This is a great song. Gord, you had this song second on your list. I know that you had a couple things you wanted to say about Don't Stand So Close.
Yeah, this song it's just a guilty pleasure. Like it's not it doesn't have the cool like guitar intro or piano like some of the other songs. It's just a good song. I just enjoy it. I've always liked the fact that the song's about it's about a teacher and a student and having a forbidden love or fighting the forbidden love. And I know
Van Halen wrote the same song.
Yeah, they definitely did. Theirs is a little hotter. Well, that was terrible. Take that out.
Nope.
It's about forbidden love between a teacher and a student. Sting was briefly a teacher before the band, so a lot of people thought this was autobiographical, and he claims to this day it's not. But if you read the lyrics, it's kind of funny because the teacher's just fighting his urge like harsh, right? And then I guess I didn't know this till recently. He took a lot of grief back in the day because he rhymes this line. He starts to shake and cough just like the old man in that book by Nabokov. So he's rhyming cough and Nabokov, and I guess people were outraged. That's stretching. It's awful. And Nabokov's the guy who wrote Lolita. So and that's like the creepiest old middle-aged man.
It's like rhyming, you're going to
monster
get your
ever.
ass kicked with Jurassic.
Yeah, it's in the same wheelhouse. buddy.
That Shaq rap about
Exactly.
Kobe.
Anyways, he claims it's not about him. I guess we'll have to take him at his word, but it sure seems pretty close.
Yeah, it definitely does. I know I was talking to Will right before we started recording, and he went the other route. He swears that's not what it's about. But again, with lyrics, as you know, they're open for interpretation. Only the person who actually wrote them can say whether or not they're what it is, and they can change their mind after the fact. Maybe it might have been that he took so much grief. He's like, no, it's not about that. But it is funny to me that wasn't it. Who wrote the song? She's Only 17. Was that Great White or somebody like or Warrant? Maybe it might have been. Anyway, one of those hair metal bands had a song called "She's Only 17," and there's people at the bar, they're singing the words and they're dancing, and I'm like, this is as offside as it gets. Quite frankly, "Don't Stand So Close to Me" isn't that offensive, but in any event, that's neither here nor there.
That
Cease, what do you got?
Just that chorus is the same as the hook in. It's the exact same as Dire Straits. "Money for Nothing." "Don't stand so close to me. I want my MTV." Exact same notes, exact same. And coincidentally or uncoincidentally, sung that's part of Dire Straits. "I Want My TV" is sung by Sting as well.
There you go.
Well, I was just going to ask if there was a lawsuit, so clearly there wasn't. They obviously got permission to steal that.
Yeah, there was something that they had to give him. I think they had to give him writing credits because of that.
No way.
I don't think it was a big deal or something, but company had to give him credit for writing that because of that part.
Wow. Well, it probably saved them probably made them a lot of money. That was a big hit for them, for Dire Straits back in the day. Moving on into the top 5, at number 5 from Outlandis D'Amour, "So Lonely."
"No Woman, No Cry." Same.
Yeah,
same.
I had this song as my favorite song. This is my top Police song. So indulge me for a minute as I babble through why I love this. I mean, that bass intro, there's just such a great groove to it. This tune is so good. And again, there's that reggae thing that I swore to Will didn't exist, but again, he was absolutely correct. I just heard this song, I just couldn't stop listening to it. Awesome drums. Gordo, when you talked about earlier, I had no idea really, because I'm not a fan. I didn't really know how good Copeland was as a drummer. Then you throw in the "No Woman, No Cry" thing. This song actually has a solo, if you can believe it. There's a freaking solo in it. Jesus. So that makes it awesome, because I love a good solo, as you know. And then it was featured in Guitar Hero 5. So when you take all of those elements, it's a number 1 song. That's how you get there. But in all seriousness, this is a song that I'm not sure that I'll get tired of. It's one of my favorite songs that I've listened to. We're on episode 6 here, so it stands up with any of the 6 that I within the 6 bands that we've done so far.
Nice. All right.
So I think unless anyone wants to add to that, I don't think it's going to get any better than that. So let's talk about number 4. Next to You, Cecil, my man.
That was the second one on the top 10 that I hadn't known before, as well as It's All Right For You. So another upbeat song, and I think Mauro could probably elaborate more on the guitar.
Yeah, there's a crazy slide guitar, I think, right, Mauro? In that,
that's the old guitarist there, right?
It's really weird. It almost doesn't fit that.
That's and that's Henry Padovani guitar, right? The original. No. Oh, here I go again.
No, that's on Fallout. Fallout's Padovani, the original guitarist.
Okay, I got you. All right.
Yeah, Dead End Job is like that too, but that we'll get to that later.
I think next to You's probably as punk rock as they get for the Police.
And that was my number 2 song. This is right on my bailiwick, because I listen to a lot of punk rock, and it's a great tune.
I don't know if diehard Police fans appreciate that song, because I don't know any diehard Police fans, but it would be interesting, because it's not the norm for them, sort of that punk style, and they really evolved.
Well, I didn't think. Sorry to cut you off. I didn't think that, but when you listen to like Outlandis D'Amour, so we've got in this top 5, 4 of the 5 songs are from that album. And I think a lot of those songs have such a punk feel to it. And I wasn't expecting that. Like this is my favorite album. It's a great album, and I did not expect this from the Police, quite frankly. I didn't know what I was getting myself into with the Police, but I did not expect to be getting elements of punk and reggae and just some really awesome grooves and stuff. Like,
well, I should correct myself. I suppose what I meant was, as far as Next to You, it doesn't mix any ska, it doesn't mix any reggae, it doesn't mix anything else into it other than the sort of the rock and roll side.
Yeah,
and that's the appeal of the song to me, because it's really a great rock and roll tune, and it's got that punky feel. But yeah, you're 100% right. They are have that punk feel to all their stuff somewhere in every song.
Yeah. So as we slide into the top 3, at number 3. The only one that's not from Atlantis Timor is this song, Message in a Bottle, from Regatta de Blanc. We all had this song in our top 10. Wicked song. Cecil, it was the highest on your list, number 2.
Yeah.
What do you want to say about that?
That was back and forth. That could have been number 1 for me. Just, again, amazing lyrics. Song about you're not alone. In being alone. So you take solace kind of what other people are going through. You know, the third verse is where that it kind of seals the deal of the song, right? And hits me right in the feels, that song.
Yeah, I knew that one might get you.
Yeah, and just a groovy tune, right?
Yeah, I was surprised that King of Pain didn't get you. Being the sensitive man that you are, but Message in a Bottle lyrically is I really like the lyrics to this as well.
And you're a victim of divorce, Garland. Do you want to talk about it?
I do actually. I think it's causing me
up my hourly rate here.
I think that's why I can't find my shirt, because I'm a kid of divorce.
I'm going for a bucket. Screw this.
Yeah. Anyone else with Message in a Bottle before we tackle these top 2? 2 great freaking songs. All right.
Let's get to it.
Roxanne in at number 2. I thought it was going to finish first, but now that I look at the rankings, I might have messed that up, because I had it 9th. Everyone else had it in their top 5. So this might be my fault now that I look at it. But Roxanne, I mean, at number 2, it's such a good tune, and I remember it from Eddie Murphy singing it in 48 hours.
Totally.
Hey, right? That's kind of, and everyone would sing it that way, like to mess up, just go Roxanne, just do like this. I just swore I was never going to sing on this podcast. I blew it, but you know what I mean? Like it's just so awesome. And I've never seen this band play live or anything like that. And there's a video on YouTube. It's a recording from 1979. It was before, you know what Sting was once he went solo, and that he's this jacked up dude. He wore all black with the shirts with the sleeves cut off so you could see the pipes and stuff, right? It was really back, before that. And you can hear him sing this song. It's like it's in this little kind of club. It almost reminds me of some of the little venues that we used to see it, whether it was at the U of C, or Flame Central, like places like that. Stuart Copeland, man, he's wearing this all green outfit. He's got like the John Stockton ball hugger shorts, the knee-high socks. Like, he's never gonna win like coolest drummer award, but the dude is just absolutely playing his ass off. And again, for like, I'd never seen the band play live, and I watched this video, and it's like a 7-minute video. So there's, all 3 guys get to kind of shine in this video, and it was awesome. So I guess if anyone wants to kind of check that out again, it's a video from live recording from 1979. It's wicked, but this song is so good, and it comes across so well on that video.
Mauro, you had this pretty high on your list. Was it the John Stockton look that got you too?
It might have been. You could see one ball was hanging out the left side, maybe.
I didn't see the video, but I'll be sure not to watch it.
You have to. That green outfit is so good with the knee-high socks. It's too much.
Stuart Copeland's a weird dude, isn't he? Like he's a weirdo.
He is a weird dude, but the dude can drum, man. He is so good, and he just.
Well, that's interesting.
Sorry, go ahead.
Because the actual main part of the song is a tango beat, which is kind of weird. Like, you wouldn't expect that someone to play a tango beat in sort of
rock. Absolutely.
Rock music. Which, and it has such a cool groove to the song. I mean, I've heard this song so many times, and if you'd asked me a month ago if I'd put this as a top song on a list of Police songs, I'd have laughed at you. But
in fact, I think you were taunting me a few weeks ago. You're like, what do you have at number one, Roxanne?
I know.
Jerk.
I was in the same boat, Mauro. I was in the same boat. I didn't think I was going to have it that high.
And then the more I listened to it, I was like, everything about this song is good.
It's great.
I mean, it is about a man that falls in love with a prostitute, but
I think that makes it better.
Hey.
We love that story. Richard Gere did it.
They did a movie about it.
Again, the songwriting, right?
The lyrics are so simple, and it's just simple. And I read online that he was walking in the, I guess, red light district in Paris one night, and he was looking around thinking, geez, these girls must have boyfriends, and maybe I should write a song about that. And there you go, Roxanne.
He had a few francs burning in his pocket, did he?
Yeah. How much research did he do?
And but the song itself has got so many good parts.
Yeah, it's an awesome song. I love it too.
Yeah, I didn't think it was going to crack my top 10.
I didn't think so either. As you said, I kept hearing Eddie Murphy singing it the first time.
Times. And it's so good because he does it in both 48 hours, right? He does it again in another 48 hours, and that one when he's got the Walkman. He's got it's the cassette old school with those bad headphones that stick on top of your ears, like it just
like the ones Gord's wearing.
Hey, come on, man.
Yeah, at least he doesn't have the gamer headphones this time. So,
God.
So let's talk about the number one song. Can't Stand Losing You. We all had this song in the top 5. I don't know who wants to. Con, why don't you take this one?
Oh yeah! First of all, great B-side, Dead End Job. Never heard of that song before, but that's later for deep cuts. Sorry. The funny thing about this song I found was the reading a note. Okay, let's start back a bit with Sting again. Ranked, he's one place had him ranked 62nd of the 100 best living songwriters. VH1's 63rd on the list. He's one of Q Magazine's one of the 100 greatest musical stars of the 20th century. And
You're inducting him into the Hall of Fame here, or what?
Well, then reading about our number one song for him. So this is one of the greatest. This is one of the greatest songwriters. So he took 5 minutes to write this song. That's what So our number one pick, our favorite song, he could have gave 2 shits about. He wrote, just fired it off, done.
Really?
I didn't know that. Huh.
It's not the process. Not the process. It's the end result, man.
Yeah. Another reggae type song that's got just a really awesome groove. I'm not sure. What else I can say about it other than it. We all had it ranked high. It's that reggae feel to it. It's a great freaking song.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. And it begs the question to me because it is the band is so musically diverse, but being a somewhat of a punk rock fan of the more modern stuff, I never really hear that those bands mention the Police as an influence.
Yeah.
But you hear so much of what the Police do in the more modern bands. So I don't know if it's coincidental. I don't think it would be, but
Yeah, you would think particularly some of the bands from overseas, the punk rock bands, and that at some point the Police would have some sort of influence, but they tend to, stick to, it's the Clash and it's, Exploited and, Dead Kennedys or whoever, right? You're right. It'd be interesting. That would be interesting to hear, because there are some really good, like if Goldfinger or something said, "Hey, it was the Police that got us into this sort of reggae punk type sound," but you never hear that. But that's a great tune, and that pretty much wraps up the top 10.
Wow.
So this is, I feel like we need to have, and maybe the listeners can help us with this. I feel like I want to have a name for every section, but until then, we're going to call this sort of the egregious omissions and what the hell were you thinking? The egregious omission, I think, from the Police lists is da 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 da. Very popular song. It charted well and all that. Cecil had that as high as 6. Gordon Mauro, you guys had it in the teens. I didn't have it on there. It's unfortunate to me because the riff is really good. Like musically, I think the riff is really good. So this is my opportunity to sort of trash on this song. If you haven't figured out that this is the way it's going to go, the riff is really good. The song itself is awful, and I can't listen to it. Lyrically, it is so bad. I will say though that I did read that one of the things that I appreciate, again, that the punk rock feel, or the punk rock attitude, Sting wrote it because to prove that people will listen to basically shit. He could write a song that is this type of sort of pop song and people will listen to it. So I like the whole, oh yeah, screw you, I'm going to write this garbage song and people are going to buy it. But at the end of the day, for me, it's a garbage song. And I can't listen to it. It's
funny. I don't think Sting phrased it that way.
I don't think he phrased it that way at all.
Well, I don't think he phrased it that way at all. I'm paraphrasing just because I don't like the song, but I do appreciate the effort in terms of him saying, "Oh yeah, we'll watch this," and he wrote this song, and it was a huge hit. But it's a terrible song. It's going into my bucket with "Hero of the Day" and "Unforgiven 2." And whatever other song over the last 5 episodes that I've thrown in there, I can't do it. It's not my thing.
Wow.
So yeah, I believe you're on the right train of thought where he was proving that people just listen to sounds, they don't need to hear lyrics. And I think he had bands like I think it was ABBA and stuff like that in mind where they just talked a lot of crazy crap.
Diddle to dee.
See, there you go, buddy.
Yeah, you got that one probably, huh?
So you're right. It was a bit of a punk rock attitude towards, but you can't get past that, eh? Like it's weird how you can't divorce the.
It's too bad. It's a great riff. It's a waste of a good riff.
Yeah, but Nirvana's got a song where the chorus is yeah. Like, come on, you got to give it a little slack there.
I don't know, man.
It's too baby talk for you?
Well, a little bit, but yeah. Now you jog my memory. I do remember him saying it was like "Doo-Wah Diddy Diddy" was one of the songs, like those types of songs where
that do-run.
Yeah, they do like that shit.
Why don't you lighten up a little bit, man? Jesus,
I'm not going to. This is a horrible song. It'll never ever appear in any of my playlists. It'll never be on my iPhone. It's garbage.
I'm going to change your name in the intro to Grumpy Old Man.
Yeah. I thought you've done that already. You already know that I get triggered sometimes. But now let's
I only put it in my list so I could hear
to
you
piss me
go
off.
on that ridiculous rant.
I know. So anyway, so we're gonna move on because now I'm in a sour mood. Because now the song's in my head. It's in a loop. I'm not gonna sleep tonight. This is bullshit. Let's This is where Mauro is going to come unraveled, I think, a little bit because Gord's Gord's top song was Every Little Thing She Does Is Magic. First, I want to hear Mauro's take on what that song is, because it didn't make your top 20, so clearly not a fan. And then we will allow Gord to retort.
Wow.
I don't know. I won't say it's a terrible song, but it's not, in my opinion, it's not a very good one. But hey, people like it, so who am I to say? But the fact that Gord has it number one is ridiculous.
That seems like a stretch to me too. I don't mind the song. I think it's a pretty good tune, but Gord, how does that end up first on your list above any of these other songs that we talked about? Well, and this is from Ghost in the Machine, so this is an album we haven't even talked about yet.
Second and last album, and it was a good one. Got lost in the shuffle. Some of the other ones are also good. So, boys, I think you're helping the fans. We're illuminating the fact that there's some professionals that understand the police, and then there's whatever donkey list you guys got. The fact that we did not have Every Little Thing She Does Is Magic in the top 10 is frankly an outrage, and I have my resignation letter ready. I don't know if I'm going to act on it yet, but this is outrageous. Let me break this down.
You're in fucking denial. You're delusional.
So it starts with a great, incredible, haunting piano intro. Like, you have to admit that piano intro is fantastic. Listen to it again. It's got the very policey, poppy middle. It totally changes gears. Like, oh, okay, we're doing a normal police song. And then what takes it over the top is the absolute epic ending. You think they're going to end? We're taking it down another notch, son. We're going to go on another minute. I encourage any bass players out there that are learning, figure that song. It's really easy to do, but that is how you end a song. That is how you play bass. You guys are out to lunch. I don't even want to hear anything more about this.
Okay, well, let's move on then.
What, really?
Well, I think you're an idiot, but I've thought that for 30 years. So that's
I'm not a fan. I mean, I don't.
Your
hate
horrible
the song.
take isn't going to change my opinion.
It is easily my top song. I knew that going into this too, so I was actually shocked that you guys didn't share that with me. They have a lot of other good stuff, but there was just something about the way this song was written that just has always really stuck with me.
For me, the outrage, quite frankly, is that Do finished higher on our top 20 than Every Little Thing She Does Is Magic. That's where I think the true travesty is.
Well, you might be right there. That's not my fault.
And that's not my fault either, because I had Every Little Thing She Does Is Magic on my list, and you already know where Do is on my list. But
that's right, brother.
So that's not my fault, but I just think that's a complete outrage.
You know what? This would be a good opportunity to refresh the listeners on our email address, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on who you think the real donkey is here, folks.
Yeah, that's right. It is Picks and Sticks podcast
last
at
thought
gmail.com.
Last thought on the do. You can almost rickroll someone. You walk up to someone and hum that, and that's stuck in their head for the rest of the day.
Oh,
right?
you'd wreck a lot of days. Absolutely.
Totally.
I'm going to change my ringer on my phone to that.
Oh, well, it's a good thing I don't see you in person anymore.
You know what the ultimate song to do to someone with is the
Don't
Wham
stand
song.
so close to me.
Oh yeah.
The Wham.
Wake me up before you
about
go. You start humming that, and you're going to leave a trail of destruction.
I think it's Don't Stand So Close to Me.
I like that song.
Stay away from me.
No problem.
All right, boys. Let's unless there's any other item, song, whatever that needs to be addressed before we get into the section that we call deep cuts. Anything? Anyone? Going once, going twice?
No,
all right.
let's do it.
Let's talk deep cuts. I feel like Cecil is ready to start.
Well, I was reading that when you guys send in your lists, I'm going over the albums, and it says flexible strategies, and I never heard of it. I couldn't even find it. It was hard to find. And then that's where he found Dead End Job, and then the second song, Landlord, which are two killer rockin' tunes. They would have been the only two that made my list, but because they're only two, they're my deep cuts. Obviously, I was a bit confused when I first heard it, because they got Sting, who's worth $400 million, complaining about his landlord and singing about a dead-end job. Like, where's the dead end? At $500 mil? Like,
yeah, that's right. So, my Bentley is in the shop.
But what a what a killer song. The other one I like. Well, the one I'm just amazed by the drums. That No Time This Time. Or I don't know if you know the song top of your head, but the drums just like, they're insane. Like I'm not gonna beatbox them, but anyways, No Time This Time. No Time This Time. If you want to hear some crazy quick drumming, and Dead End Job and Landlord, if you want to pick me up.
All right.
Nice.
I will echo Dead End Job. I had that on my list. I think that's a great tune. And again, I would say I've never heard it before, but quite frankly, there's a lot of these songs I'd never heard before. But I would echo Dead End Job. Canary in a Coal Mine, I will add to that list. That's a really great tune that I had in my top 10. And I'll even throw out Synchronicity 1, because I know that Synchronicity 2, I don't think Synchronicity 1 was released as a single, so correct me if I'm wrong, but either way, I prefer 1 over 2 myself. But that's kind of where I would go with my deep cuts.
Nice. As far as mine go, I'm going to go with, I got 2. I got Invisible Sun off of Ghost in the Machine. It's got a
Big
really
fan of
nice
that
fade
song.
in.
Love that song.
It comes in and then it just takes a weird turn, and it's just a great song. Really moody. Quite like that one. Another one I did not hear of, just like Carlin, until we started this exercise, is Shambell, which is off of Flexible Strategies, and it's an instrumental. And I know they like to do those now and again, but this one really sticks out to me. It's really well done. I don't know why it didn't make an actual album. Whatever. Maybe they just decided it needed lyrics and never got to it. But I think that's a deep, deep cut that I had never heard before that I really enjoyed.
Yeah, I'm glad you put that on your list, Gord, actually, because I hadn't heard it either. And they do have some instrumentals on their other albums. Quite frankly, I didn't really care for any of them. And this was the one instrumental that I listened to and really quite enjoyed.
Nice.
Yeah, me too. I was grateful for seeing that on your list there, Gordy.
Oh, yeah. I try and help.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah, that makes up for the number one every little thing. Mauro, what do you got?
I got Fallout. That's a great
Yeah,
song.
no, you had that second, so maybe let that breathe a bit. What
I had
what
it
is
very
about
highly
Fallout?
rated. It's like it's a classic rock tune. It's actually the only song that Henry Padavani, which was the original guitarist, can be found on, as far as recorded. And you'll know, and he does the solos on there, so you'll notice the solos are a completely different style. And it's more of a classic rock tune. It doesn't really fit the mold.
I'm wondering if it was so good, why'd they whack that guy after that? That's weird.
I don't know. Why don't you ask Sting? He seemed to be tight with him.
He went to a bigger band.
Heroin.
The police were opening for his band.
Heroin's our go-to answer all the time now.
Yeah.
Heroin.
He formed a band with Steven Adler and Dave Mustaine.
Damn you, Heroin.
No, it's a great song. I was the only one that actually had it in my picks.
Yeah, you were. And after when I saw all the lists and I started listening to it, I think I probably could have had it on my list. It's a good tune. I agree that that's a nice pick. I don't know if it's number 2 worthy, but it's a great pick.
Yeah, maybe not, or maybe it is. We haven't talked about "Hole in My Life," have we?
No.
No, good call.
That's a good
great
deep
tune.
And that's a fantastic song. Again, down that sort of reggae hole, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And two very different songs for my deep cuts, but two very good songs, in my opinion.
Yeah, those are good calls. I was ready to just pounce on you for something outrageous. That's good stuff right there.
Yeah. Nice work, boys. So we've got nice work, boys. So we've got what have we got? We got Dead End Job, Landlord, No Time This Time, Canary in a Coal Mine. We got Synchronicity 1, Invisible Sun, Shambell, Fallout, and Hole in My Life.
Damn.
That's some pretty solid deep cuts, boys. You know what? Again, great band. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but I really like this band. I didn't think I would.
Wow. I can't believe what I'm witnessing here. Jesus.
I know.
We really are showing growth.
Yeah. It's just,
It's all right. It's because we're making good playlists. Like, I was really hating the Police. I was getting down on them, but then once I sorted through and, kind of cut the deadwood out and
they do have a lot of filler, I find.
Had a 30.
Song.
Yep.
Once you narrow it down, man, holy cow, they sound fantastic to me.
To me, this isn't a band I would sit down and play through a whole album.
Agreed.
To me, there's some weird stuff on some of them that isn't up my alley, but the playlist is great.
It's a good change of pace band.
Well, there's that song on Synchronicity. I think it's called Mother or something. That's got to be one of the weirdest things I've ever heard in my life.
I was wondering about that. What's with them around them issues with their mothers, like Pink Floyd too, right?
Yeah, I guess.
These English lads,
that,
Jesus.
Yeah,
Fellas.
That was so out of place. And the funny thing is, again, I think we all owned Synchronicity, the album, at some point, and I didn't remember that at all. I was listening. I was like, what the hell is happening here? At first, you think it's just going to be an intro, and then the whole song is just odd. So anyway, if I had to rank all their songs, that would definitely be the last one. But next episode.
Oh no,
we're taking a right turn again. I like that we're doing some different stuff. Next episode we're doing Beastie Boys, right?
Can't stand it.
I need 3 lists.
Beastie Boys.
You need a musical, rap, and then punk rock. It's so hard to rank, right? How do you compare?
It is going to be
their genres.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And I'm not familiar. I'm familiar with their early stuff, not so much on their later stuff. So, anything else to add here before we shut her down, boys, or what?
Yeah, I hate to add it this late, but I probably should have said it earlier. We didn't really talk about Sting's, solo stuff, and I know that a lot of fans of the Police really appreciate Sting's solo stuff, and I'm not super familiar with it, but I'm sure it's good. But we just focused on the Police here, and
yeah. Well, maybe that's a future episode. I'm not familiar with any of Sting's solo stuff either, other than what I've probably heard on the radio. But off the top of my head, I'm not so sure I could name a single song.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe we got our homework. I know it's a lot jazzier. It's a lot softer. It's like the Police is written for maybe young dudes and some ladies, whereas Sting, all songs are written for the ladies.
Oh,
that's why he's always wearing the shirts with the sleeves torn off.
Exactly.
we're probably Sting will probably be our favorite musician after we go deep.
Oh yeah,
dreamy Sting.
Yeah.
I do have to say I watch Rick Beato online, who does a lot of music theory, and I'm not a music theory guy, but he speaks highly of Sting's musical abilities, his abilities to put melodies together and harmonies that are very complex, that you don't hear in a lot of other music. So
he's quite brilliant. He did write most of the Police's material, right? Which is odd in itself that he's a bass player and a singer, and he writes their songs. It's usually, it's either just a singer or the guitar player or whatnot. So very talented dude for sure. Maybe we should go on a run of bands that are, we did Pink Floyd as Roger Waters. Now they share vocals, right? But he's the bass player, sort of front man. And then we've done this. I don't know. I know that Motorhead is one that we talked about. Maybe we just go on a complete run and we do Slayer.
Rush and Slayer,
Triumph,
No Effects, Triumph. We do Winger. Isn't Kip Winger? Isn't he a bass player?
I think I'm out already. That's all I got.
Winger's so
Rush.
horrible.
Rush.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. Yeah, I mentioned that already. Pay
did you?
attention.
Oh,
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Sorry, man.
Yeah.
It's the bucket.
There we go. Well, before we do any more damage, let's shut her down. So we hope that you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please tell your friends, your family, your neighbors, your coworkers about it. We really do appreciate your support. And again, don't forget to email the show. We're at picksandstickspodcast@gmail.com. That's picks, A-N-D, picks, A-N-D, sticks podcast @gmail.com. We may even read your email on an upcoming episode. I know Gordo has got a few things in the hopper that we're thinking about with a new part of the show. So check that out. And make sure you don't miss an episode, so you can subscribe to the Picks and Sticks podcast. You find us everywhere you get your podcasts, including Spotify, Apple, Google, and Stitcher. Next episode, we're bringing you Beastie Boys. And thanks for listening. And until next time, see ya.
See ya. See ya. See ya.